I can edit this bit in. I don't care. I apologise for that really bad intro. Oh, in my head, that was a good idea. No, it's not. Anyway, hi. As the intro, that is the theme music to Class. Just so you guys are aware, and that was Up All Night by Alex Clare. I'll double check and confirm that in the bits down below. So, as you're probably aware, this is going to be my video discussion of the first 4 episodes of Class. Now, for those of you who don't know what Class is a spin-off of Doctor Who, set in Coal Hill Academy, which, if Doctor Who fans are probably well aware, that school has a huge important theme throughout the entire series, throughout the entire legacy of Doctor Who, because that was where the first episode of The Unearthly Child started, back in the 50s and 60s. And in very recent times, Clara Oswald was a teacher there. Now, this is taking place there, and it follows 4 students and 1 teacher, the students are Charlie, Ram, Tanya, and Amy. Amy. No, I'm positive it's Amy. No, it's not. I can't check. I'm sorry. Do your research, Andrew. What are you thinking? Do your research. I am positive it's Amy. April. It's April. Damn it! Failed! You can probably tell how much an influence that character has on me, because I can't remember her own name. And then we have Miss Quill, who is the teacher. So basically the plot, it follows them. And because it's been so weak there, the school, there's a lot of time and stuff happening. There are rips and tear through time and space, so things can get through. And so aliens, of course it is. And to give it an extra good bit of meatiness, the show was created by Patrick Ness, well-known author of books. That was a weird breath, but my tongue sort of sucked it in as well, so sorry if I sound like I was hiccuping. I wasn't. So he's the author of Monster Calls, The Rest of Us Just Live Here, More Than This, Chaos Walking trilogy. So he knows teens. So we have this really big name in YA creating a show, and he's written all the scripts so far, which is very, very intriguing. So you know you're in good stuff. So yes, it's a Doctor Who spin-off. It's airing in the United Kingdom on BBC 3. It is going international to my knowledge. I believe the USA, if you're from the US, you will get it next year, because it's going to be aired at the same time as Doctor Who. So you're going to get Doctor Who, and then you get Class immediately afterwards. So you get that. I think in Canada it's going to be aired in space, on the Space Channel, or CBC. I know it's aired in Australia, a few days after the UK. So if you're, I'm sure you get like 3 days after us if you live in Australia or New Zealand. So for spoilers, do not watch. This is about the first 4 episodes, which we've got now in the UK. And the episodes in question are episode 1, which is For Tonight We Might Die. Episode 2 is The Coach with the Dragon Tattoo. Episode 3 is Night Visiting. And episode 4 is The Co-Owner of a Lonely Heart. Just so you guys are aware, episode 4 is the first episode in a 2-parter episode. So, as much as I like to really discuss episode 4, I don't think I'm going to fully. I might brush very quickly over that. But so basically, how can I explain this without going into spoilers? I really don't want to go into spoilers, but I really want to at the same time. Because other book bloggers and bloggers I watch do it so brilliantly, and I'm just here going, ah! So, I'm going to do every episode very, very briefly, and then touch on things which might be classed as spoiler. So, brace yourselves. So, episode 1 is basically our introduction episode. We meet all the characters, and we begin to realise there's something not right with the shadows in the school. And it's very, very creepy and very odd. And as the characters begin to realise something that's not right, it kind of comes to a head at the autumn prom. Why would you have an autumn prom? I just need someone to explain that to me. And then we begin to realise these characters are very, very different. So we meet Charlie, who's very odd. He doesn't really fit in with everyone else. He doesn't try very hard to fit in. And then as the episode progresses, you realise why, which I really, really like the way. Ram is introduced as like a typical jock. We don't really know much about him at the very, very start. And then by the end of episode 1, stuff happens, and episode 2 leads very nicely into his journey, his character development. So we don't know much about him in episode 1, but we get to know about him in episode 2. Tanya, we realise very quickly in this episode, she is 2 years ahead of herself in school. So she's in sixth form, but she's like 14. So immediately we have an age difference there, and it's so nice. And she's the smartest person. Out of all the 14s, she is the smartest person. And I love the fact that, and she's unapologetic. She's typically Hermione. She's like a Hermione character of the four. And it's great to have that. And then we have April. And April's a problem character. I like her, but I don't at the same time, because I don't feel like I know enough about her for all episodes. And then we have Miss Quill, who is the teacher, who is the smartest person in the room. And she knows she's the smartest person in the room, and she is not afraid to do it. Like, if you watch the first 10 minutes of the episode, when they're all in the classroom together, she kind of belittles the main four immediately, very, very quickly. And so, of course, we have these weird things happening with shadows in the first episode, and it comes to a point. And then it leads very nicely into episode 2. Because the events of episode 1 happen, and it goes into Ram's story. And that's kind of and Ram's emotional growth after the events of episode 1. And at the same time, that's happening, something weird is happening at the school, where people are getting skinned alive. As you do. And then episode 3 have come after that. Episode 3 happens, where we focus on Tanya's story. We get more information about her, and basically, here's the very quick line. It's been 2 years to the day that her father has died of a stroke. So she's grieving, her family are grieving, are mourning this loss. She comes into her bedroom at the end of the day and finds her dead father sitting at the end of her bed. And because you know it's sci-fi, it's Doctor Who, so you're there going, don't go in there! Don't talk to him! Don't be stupid and do that! And in episode 4, we focus on April. And because of the events of episode, and it kind of gives us it gives us all the stories of episode 1. There's a lot of loose ends in episode 1. And it comes over into episode 4, and we begin to see that they're having long-lasting effects. All 4 of these episodes are really strong. Episode 2 is probably the strongest episode. Episode 1 and 2 are the most strong, because episode 1 is setting everything up beautifully, with the whole story arc for the rest of the series and future episodes. In episode 2, you have the emotional punch, and the acting in episode 2 is extraordinary. Like, I was watching episode 2 going, wow, this is really strong stuff. And then we have episode 3, which tackles the same thing that happens in episode 2, which is the issue of grief. But it tackles it in a very different way. And while it might not be as powerful, it's still incredibly interesting to watch. And in episode 4, it kind of begins to touch on subjects. And okay, I've got to go into spoilers now, so sorry in advance. But in episode 1, we have a lot of things are thrown at us. With certain things like certain characters aren't human, they're slaves, and freedom fighters, so they have the punishment. And then, Shadowkin, who are the enemy alien, and the fact that hearts are happening and they're merged to a heart. It's very, very confusing. When you watch the episode, it makes perfect sense. Me explaining it is not good. And it comes back to the fourth in episode 4, where they want their hearts to be separate, and people are questioning, well, what does it mean to be? What defines a soldier? What defines being on the right side of a war when that person on the other side of the war is believing they're doing the right things? So it's not, and the great thing about these episodes is Patrick isn't afraid. Patrick, who wrote these scripts, isn't afraid to go into these subjects. Isn't afraid to go very dark. It isn't afraid to go very gory. It isn't afraid to make you jump out of your skin. Sorry for that cutscene. Had to make a roof. This room is freezing. Anyway, where was I? Patrick Ness. The writing in this is really strong, and Patrick isn't afraid to ask these questions, such as dark questions like, what does it mean to be good? How can we cope with grief? When we go into war, what makes us think we're on the right side? And it's interesting that Patrick is not afraid, that the show is not afraid to ask these questions. And it's kind of treating the audience kind of on the same mark as everyone else. It's not trying to dumb it down. It's not trying to be stupid. It's not trying to be patronising. It's not afraid to ask these dark questions, while at the same time going, look, there's an alien. It's going to kill us, and we need to save the world. So it's fun to have that. It's nice that this show is treating teenagers like they're smart. Because the amount of time to watch TV shows which are aimed for teenagers, it's very watered down, and it's kind of spoon feeding it. Saying that though, it's interesting that the show does spoon feed information. Like, it does do a lot of foreshadowing. I think so. That means Patrick Nesses knows where he's going with his show. It's incredibly smart, not just in short term but in long term. I could talk about the show, and because I do gush about the show quite a lot. Let's do the negatives. Let's do the negative very quickly. I have 2 or 3 negatives I'm not the most convinced on this show. This show is brilliant, and I love it, and I will fight this show to the bitter end. It better be recommissioned for Series 2. It better be turned into Series 2 BBC. But there are certain things that happen in this episode that I am not the most convinced over. And it kind of happens from episode 3. It's mostly episode 3 I have problems with. I love episode 3, but there are problems. Like, there are a lot of loopholes. Like, for example, 2 characters get together. I'm trying to keep this as vague as possible. Which, in episode 4, that works. Them getting together and them having a relationship makes sense. But in episode 3, it kind of comes out of nowhere. It comes really left field. And when you think of the events that happened in episode 1 and 2, it seems very, very quick. It doesn't feel right. But in episode 4, it feels really organic. It just feels, it works. And it's nice to have that relationship which seems messy and complicated, and then we have another relationship on the side which is great. And I think every fan I know who ships that relationship to a point. I'm trying to be so vague and non-spoilery again. I'm going through those bits. But there's a point in episode 3 where I feel like going, well, why is that happening? Not the relationship. There's this big, when I said that Tanya walks into her bedroom and her dad's in there, and later on we find out that's kind of important, that her dad is there. And it's the main thing. It's the main crux of the problem. And I'm like, well, why did that happen? Why is it, out of all the things that happened, why is the main thing going to her? It's just, But I do like this show. I'm really surprised how much I'm enjoying this show. Because it has everything that works. But the problem is, I've been fooled before by going to these shows and going to these films and going to these books where it sounds promising and then it just doesn't deliver. This show is delivering. And I'm so excited that the show is delivering the things, and it's delivering them to a standard. Let's just touch wood. If episode 3 is the weakest episode of the entire series, we have nothing to worry about this show. This show is going to work. I'm so pleased that it is working, and I am so pleased that nearly everyone on my timeline who lives in the UK is watching this show, is talking about this show. We always seem to watch it on the weekend, like on a Saturday. As soon as it comes out at 10 o'clock, we're watching it now! We're panicking! And it's like, I've got to wait till 3 days later. But yes, I'm really excited. I know it's not much of a discussion video, and I'm really sorry, but I've kind of don't know whether to be so spoilery I can go full pelt or not. So, sorry. So, guys, questions. If you are in the United Kingdom, are you enjoying this show? Are you watching it? Are you not watching it? Why are you watching it? What are you enjoying? What are you not enjoying? I'm going to basically say this. The comments down below are going to be full of spoilers. So I'm very happy to say, do not look if you have not seen these episodes. Like, what are you enjoying? Where do you want the show to go? What do you want the show to tackle? Because there's a lot of things that's happening in episodes 4, 2, 3, and 4 that I want them to go further into. Like, I want to go into relationships. I want them to talk about sex. And we see sex. I want to go more violent. I want all that stuff. I don't want it to be jumpy. I want to have that. But I want it to be all real and talk about relationships and feelings. And Miss Quill is amazing. Miss Quill needs her own episode. Miss Quill is brilliant. If there's one selling point I can give you, is watch it for Miss Quill. Because she is... Yes, she's not a nice person, but she's utterly hilarious. She gets these little one-liners, and it just works. It just works. I really am enjoying this show. I don't know how long this episode run is, so Leave the comments down below. Are you liking the show? Are you not liking the show? Let's talk about spoilers. Let's talk about what's happening in next episode, part of the two-parter, the Bravish Heart. Let's have this discussion. I cannot wait to read your guys' reactions. I just gotta have my system. I'm liking this show so much. Okay, I've got to do a book review now, and I've got to finish off my coffee. I've drunk so much tea today, I need coffee. So, see you guys later. Bye. Don't know why I did that. Bye.